Yamato could feel the energy of the festival long before he stepped on stage. The park was alive with the buzz of voices, the smell of sizzling food, and the warm glow of string lights strung between trees. Crowds milled about, laughing and chatting, their faces lit by the soft radiance of lanterns. For Kai, it felt like a world away from a small cafe gig they'd played just a few weeks ago. From backstage, he peered out at the audience. It was massive, far bigger than he'd imagined. His stomach churned as he realized the scale of it all. Rows of folding chairs stretched out in front of the stage, flanked by groups of people standing casually under the open sky. This was no small, friendly crowd. This was real. "You goods?" Hiroshi asked, tuning his guitar as he shot Kai a quick glance. "Yeah," Kai said, though his voice betrayed him. "You'll be fine," Jun added with a grin, twirling a chord between his fingers. "No one's paying attention to the drummer anyway." Kai let out a weak laugh, but it didn't ease the nerves coursing through him. He could feel the sweat on his palms, his drumsticks slick in his hands. The band gathered near the side of the stage, their instruments in hand. Hiroshi took charge, his voice calm and commanding as he outlined the setlist one last time. "All right, we are kicking off with something fast to grab their attention," he said. "Then we'll slow it down in the middle before ending with the big one. Kai, keep the transitions tight. Don't give them a chance to lose the energy." Kai nodded, gripping his drumsticks tightly. He tried to focus on the plan, but his nerves were making it hard to think clearly. As the announcer called out their name, the crowd erupted into cheers. Kai felt his chest tighten as the band walked onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinding him. He took his seat behind the drum kit, a familiar place that offered him a sliver of comfort. The opening riff of their first song rang out, Hiroshi's guitar cutting through the chatter of the audience. Kai raised his sticks, counted them in, and let the beat drop. The sound was deafening, the bass drum thumping through the speakers as the snare and cymbals filled the air. The crowd responded immediately, clapping along and nodding their heads to the rhythm. As the music flowed, Kai's nerves began to melt away, replaced by a steady focus. By the end of the first song, the applause was thunderous. Hiroshi shot Kai a grin, and Takeshi gave him a quick thumbs up. "Nice one," Jun said under his breath as the band readied for the next track. The second song was slower, more melodic. Takeshi's bass lines carried the tune, with Jun's keyboards weaving soft harmonies in the background. Kai kept the beat steady and unobtrusive, his ears tuned to every subtle change in the music. The crowd swayed gently, their energy shifting with the mood of the song. It was during the third and final track, a high-energy number with a driving beat, that it happened. Near the front of the crowd, a man shouted loud enough to cut through the music. "Go back to where you came from." Kai's hands faltered, his rhythm slipping for a brief second. The words hung in the air, sharp and cutting. He felt his stomach lurch, his chest tightening with a mix of anger and humiliation. Hiroshi turned slightly, his gaze steady. "Keep going," he mouthed. Kai gritted his teeth and refocused. His hands struck the drums harder, the beats louder and more forceful. He poured his frustration into every movement, channeling the sting of the heckler's words into the music. By the time the song reached its climax, Kai's focus was razor-sharp. He hit the final note with all his might, the sound reverberating through the park. The audience erupted into cheers, their applause drowning out any lingering negativity. Backstage, the band was buzzing with adrenaline. "That was incredible," Jun said, practically bouncing as he set down his keyboard. "The crowd loved it." "You smashed it, mate," Hiroshi said, clapping Kai on the shoulder. Kai managed a weak smile, but the heckler's words still rang in his ears. Hiroshi caught the look on his face and tilted his head. "You all right?" Kai hesitated. "That guy, what he said?" Hiroshi's expression darkened. "Forget him. He's just an idiot who doesn't matter." Jun nodded. "Exactly. Did you hear the crowd? They were loving it. That guy's opinion isn't worth the second thought." Kai nodded slowly. Their words helped, but the sting lingered. As they packed up their gear, Kai spotted his parents near the edge of the backstage area. Marissa waved enthusiastically, her smile wide and proud. Akio stood beside her, his expression unreadable but not hostile. "You were amazing," Marissa said as Kai approached, pulling him into a hug. "You played well," Akio said, his voice gruff. "The crowd seemed to like you." "Thanks," Kai said, his voice steady but cautious. He wasn't sure if his father's words were genuine approval or simply an acknowledgement of effort. The walk back to the car was quiet, but the tension that had hung over them for weeks seemed to have softened. That night, as Kai unpacked his drumsticks at home, Akio stopped him in the hallway. "Kai," he said. Kai turned, waiting for his father to speak. "I saw how hard you worked tonight," Akio said, his tone measured. "I still think school needs to come first, but you're good at this. If it means that much to you, I won't stop you." Kai's chest tightened, a wave of relief washing over him. "Thank you," he said softly. Akio nodded, his expression firm but not unkind. "Just don't forget what's important." Lying in bed that night, Kai stared at the ceiling, his thoughts racing. The heckler's words had hurt, but the crowd's cheers had drowned them out. His father's tentative approval felt like a small victory, but Kai knew it wasn't the end of the challenges ahead. Music wasn't just a hobby anymore. It was part of who he was, and he was ready to fight for it. With a taste of both the highs and lows of performing, Kai begins to understand the challenges that lie ahead. As the band's ambitions grow, so too do the obstacles, pushing Kai to prove his dedication both on and off the stage.